Hey everybody, Steve at Benford Guitars here to talk to you about the neck layout. So what happens here is I have a piece of wood that I've all cleaned up. It's about 4 inches by 1 3/4 inches by about 6 or 8 inches long. So what happens here is this all gets cleaned up, squared up, as perfect as I can get it. So what we have here is this neck actually gets cut at a 12-degree angle like this, and what we're going to do is we're making what's called a scarf joint. And the scarf joint allows you to use one piece of wood, cut off a chunk, flip it over, and create an angled headstock. It's just more efficient with wood, and it's actually structurally more sound than a one-piece neck, because you have your grain running this way and then it's running this way. You don't have this thin grain that runs right through this angle. That's why you see a lot of broken headstocks on Gibsons and Epiphones and stuff like that, because if they fall and take a decent impact, it just snaps that right in half. So anywho, this one I've already done that with, and I've got a couple pictures of that process, which will be up on the blog, but you can kind of see that my fingerboard now goes down this way, and this is pretty oversized. I have a tendency to do these a little bit long just in case some math gets screwed up somewhere. What happens from there is this piece of wood gets leveled with this, so we're all nice and smooth. The next step that's going to happen is I'm going to take this piece of veneer that I made up that matches the body, and it's going to get glued to the headstock here, because in this particular case we're going to have a matching headstock. So I'll get rid of that for now. So anyway, next step we've got after that is routing for the truss rod, and the truss rod is about 1/4 inch wide and the depth is about 0.44. so this all gets laid out right up the middle center line, and that gets all routed. The next step after that is I have a tendency to cut the neck blank. And the reason I did the rod before I tapered it is because I need this square edge, because the router has got a fence on it and it's going to ride along the side of the board here and cut me a perfectly straight line. So you guys remember this neck template that I showed you the other day. This gets double stick taped down all in the right spots, all the center lines, all my nut placement, everything. And what will happen is it'll get flipped upside down. Use this router bit to route it out. It'll get rough cut right here. Next step is I'll take my headstock template, do the same thing. Double stick tape it down, rough cut it out, and use the router bit to clean it up. While I'm there, I'll go ahead and do my holes. The holes are 25/64. For that. After that, then things get a little bit tricky because I got to glue the fretboard down. So in order to keep this thing from spinning side to side when you clamp it up, a hole will get drilled in here just right through the fret, a little mini hole, and a little mini hole will get drilled right through there, and I'll use little pins, and I'll just stick the pins down through there, and I'll put the epoxy on. I actually use epoxy, not wood glue. You're trying to have this neck be as dry as possible, and you don't want to put like wood glue in it because it's got moisture in it and it'll just cause the neck to warp and move again. So epoxy is great for this. So here's a neck that I already made up, and hopefully you can kind of see that little hole there, and then there's another one down here. That's all that's left, and that gets covered up by the fret, so that's pretty cool. Once that's glued down, I can clean up all the epoxy and trim up the fingerboard if necessary, but this neck blank and the fingerboard were routed off the exact same template, so they should line up perfectly and I won't probably have to do any cleanup work. So after that is accomplished, I'm just about done, with one exception, doing the profile. And so that's going to be a little bit of tedious work there, trying to get a nice, taper from here to here and the profile that we want. So that is really about it. I don't think I missed anything. Yeah, that's it. Here's a neck that I've done previously. This is my 6th inline with a reverse headstock, and you can see that this is still square. I haven't done any profiling with it yet, so still got to work on that. And that's about it. So, you know, let me know if you got any questions about anything, and away we go from there. Thanks a lot. Steve at BenfordGuitars.com.